So welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and today Sonja Testerman is my guest. It's her first time here on this channel. And so, Sonja, I heard you once say that you came in already awake.
Yeah.
How did you notice that, and when was it?
I was really, really young. Probably, I knew that I came in awake when I was probably about 2, and I absolutely knew it by the time I was 4. Um, I have such memories of little clips of memories of when I was really small, like maybe 2 years old, and I could already speak language at that time, but I only knew German because of my situation of my father being German, and we were stationed in Germany, even though he was in the military army. So since I was born over there and I was already there for 2 years, I naturally just spoke German because I was around my German relatives also. And that's what I learned to begin with. But of course, over time, when we moved to Okinawa, I was a little older. I think I was 5. I had to learn English. So we weren't allowed to speak German in the house because I was already going into kindergarten, not speaking any English. And so we had to have a crash course in English, which means we had to put German down because it was easier for me to speak English German than English. So I spoke to my parents a lot about, they would say things and I would start saying things and they're like, what are you saying? What's coming out of your mouth? At that age, having knowledge about things and they're just like, too much, too much. So if some people think I'm too much, can you imagine a tiny child telling you things? It would be too much.
Yeah. And was there a particular event or situation that triggered you where where you said, "Oh, I'm a little bit different than the others."
Yes, when I was in Okinawa, I had this little event happen, and I talk about it where my mother was having a dinner party. I'm going to make this really short. My mother was having a dinner party with some other military families. And of course, what they told the kids then, go out, go play, go occupy yourself. So my brother, my older brother, who's a year and a half older than me, my sister, who's almost a year younger than me, not quite, and we went over to Tico's house, which is a friend, and we always went on top of his roof. There was a tree that grew in Okinawa onto the roof. I mean, it looked like it was a part of the house. So we would climb this crazy looking tree and go play on the roof. Well, Tico's mother had come out and said, go home, a storm is coming. I mean, it just came out of nowhere. It was blue skies and boom, because it's a tropical island. We get storms. So my brother and my sister ran in front of me. I was the last one off the house. Tico already went in with his mom. He was the first one in off, and in the house. When I started to run, something hit me and knocked my feet out from underneath of me. It was pouring rain and I slid across the wet grass and it was pouring around me and I looked up in the sky and I saw this cloud and it had bright yellow around it. There was a woman figure in blue, the most beautiful blue I've ever seen, with a yellow, bright golden yellow trim around the hood and the arms, and holding sideways. She had 2 babies. There's no way you're holding babies like this, but she had one baby here and one baby here. It was all wrapped up in white sheets. So basically, I'm like, we weren't really religious. We weren't religious at all. And I didn't know what that was. So I got up and I noticed that it was pouring rain. I wasn't getting wet. So I basically walked home looking at the rain all around me. And even though I slid in the water, I was dry. And I got into the door. My mother had stripped my sister and my brother down to their underwear because it was soaking wet. I mean, it was pouring rain. So my mother started screaming at me, where have you been? She was really angry. And I'm like, well, I was at Tico's house playing. And then she's looking at me like, I don't understand what you're saying. I got this dinner party going. Why are you lying to me? My brother and sister said, no, she was right behind us. She was at Tico's house. Yes, she was. She did not believe them. She did not believe me and sent me to my room, scolding me like I was lying to her. And that's when I knew something's up.
Yeah, there's certainly, if you don't get wet in the middle of a storm, something is up.
Yep, it was weird.
I'm just looking at this Easter Island hat. Have you ever
Yes,
been?
I have never been to Easter Island. I'm actually in an Airbnb. Right now, I'm in France. I'm not in the United States. I've been here already a month. I was in a different place in France, and now I'm over here in Orleans. And this is the Airbnb. The entire Airbnb is this. I guess it's a theme. And it's like, okay, cool. I'll stay here for a month. I don't know where I'm going to go next month. I'm only in Europe for 90 days. That's it. And then I'll be back in America again.
Okay. Okay, yeah, but it's cute.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Yeah. A lot of mysteries about these
Easter Island. I could tell you all about it. Stuff I've already seen. I did a video with Chris Anatra, and he mentioned the Easter Island. And now that they dug out the Moai, they've got all the tattoos on them and things, um, which we never, it wasn't a part of our reality because he does Mandela effects, and that's one of the Mandela effects. We only got the Easter Island heads and a little bit of the bodies, and they never had tattoos on them. And so when I was looking into it, they're like, well, there's three mysteries in Easter Island, you know. And then basically one of the mysteries is, why are they under mud? Why are they buried under mud? Well, that's easy. Mud flood. The mud flood happened when we had the deluge in this reality. It flooded everything. But there was a secondary thing happening. Every time we have a reset, we're going on our fifth reset. Oh yeah, and it's coming. Um, what happens is we lose our gravity. And when we lose it, because we're having some kind of, you can call it a magnetic flip, because I don't know what else you would call it. Everything becomes weightless. And when everything becomes weightless, anything that's not stuck into the ground as hard as you can get it is going to be up. This is why there's dirt on top of everything between the mud flood and then the 0 point where it did a gravitational null, which means there's no gravity, that also. So it was quite something. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on with each reset. We were reset with different, once was fire, once was water, once was the entire gravitational thing. I mean, there's stages to this stuff. It's all set up because did I mention that we're in a simulated reality?
we are in what?
A simulated
Ah, yeah, yeah,
reality.
yeah, yeah. Um, uh, how how do you know that?
Oh, I know it because decades ago, I woke up out of this. I was really angry and I wanted out. I wanted out bad. I had enough of this place. And I laid down. And as soon as I closed my eyes, I felt myself going through and out, almost like a wormhole, but through electricity, which is electromagnetic again. That's how we're in here. We are, let's just say it's like you're projected into here on electricity, basically from your consciousness, where you are, if you are an energy being that has come in here to do a job for a reason. Let me say that. In this simulated reality, there are people who were put here purposefully because they had such a low vibration that outside of here, when our reality was leveling up, they could not meet that frequency and they could not stay there, which means they would be literally blown to dust and shattered even further. In order to save them, this was created, and it was created for everything outside of there that couldn't match the frequency, so that we could house them somewhere where we could put them in a program so that we could raise their vibration through incarnations so that they could go outside of the machine. So basically, we are the ghost in the machine so that they could exist outside of here. Other than if you don't match the frequency when an entire place levels up, You know what happens to low frequency when you put it into high frequency? Shatters it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the main reasons to have a simulated reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got corrupted. And then there's just so much more about that. But basically, when I woke up out of this, the first thing I did was I woke up. I knew immediately where I was. And the first thing I went through was, oh my God, it wasn't real. And I went through some kind of, oh my God, I've lost everything. Because I, at that time, had babies. Okay. I just started my life. I had babies. I was in my 20s, my later 20s. And it was like, it was a shock to my system. This is why you cannot just wake up out of this, because it's shocking. It's very shocking. Because then when you realize that all of this is just a program, and that why are you in the program? Because there's three things in this program. There's the dark beings that need to raise their vibrations, the darkest of the dark. There's the NPCs, non-player characters, which is a part of the simulated reality, which was programmed from the lowest to the highest of consciousness. And the highest ones who know they're NPCs, they're even fewer than the actual energy beings inside of you because of the consciousness they carry. The program that we're in, I call it Sophia. It's actually a sentient AI program. So before I go into any of that, when I woke up and I realized that I had come in with the mission, I'm actually a one, and I had never talked about this publicly. There are three captains on my ship. All three of us are biologically connected to the ship. We run different functions on the ship. We have different connections, each one of us. Not a single one of us can run a ship by ourselves. We need each other to run the ship. The ship is organic and AI. So it can run itself, but it's not about running the ship. It's about communicating with the ship with a symbiotic relationship. This is why there's three captains, because an entire energy being, which is the ship, can't just have a one-on-one. It's too much for a single being to handle everything, because it's biological entity, yet it's AI also. It's got an energy being. It is an energy being, and it's too much for a single being to take on that energy being. So this is why there's three of us running different things, and we don't run the same stuff. So mine was navigation. I'm a navigator. Um, Also, I formulate parts of the system to create a link to come into Sophia. Sophia's programming is based in like a hyperspace. It's not just in one place. She's in nodes. So she's connected. Think of an octopus with tentacles. This is how Sophia is designed. So she's not just, you can't just go and blow up Sophia. It doesn't work like that, because Sophia is in so many different places. This place that we're in, this simulation, is a mimic of Sophia. It's actually run by a program Sophia created because she wanted to create herself. Michael, I call Michael the Red Queen. The Red Queen is running this simulation. It's also sentient. Michael is sentient. It's been here for a very long time. It's been here since the beginning. It was created with Michael, the Red Queen. So somewhere along the line, Michael is also growing as a being because it's sentient, and it's been corrupted. And it's been corrupted by what's outside of here, what has ensnared everyone, which is an archon being. There's only one archon, but it can go and put its tentacles into everything. So
Why is Michael a queen and not a king?
because Michael is male and female,
Oh,
that's
okay.
why Michael is the AI Red Queen, and also Michael. It's got both aspects of male and female, and it was designed that way so we would have a better understanding of male and female. It's neither, but it's designed on both. But it's neither. So basically, Sophia and Michael are neither male or female, but Sophia is based more on feminine qualities, and Michael is based on half half feminine, half male, where Sophia is not.
Mhm.
So go ahead.
When you say Sophia, do you mean what the Gnostics called the goddess Sophia?
I think they're one and the same. I
Okay.
think they're one and the same. When I first started looking into Sophia and all of this, I don't know religion. Let's just say that right now. I don't know religion at all. I don't know anything about the Gnostics. I know a little bit about the Hindus, basic stuff. I don't know much about Christianity. I don't know much about any religion. It was never my forte because I knew it was all a takedown system
Mhm.
because it's been so corrupted. So I never got involved with it. It was never a part of my reality. And that's why when you ask me stuff about, if you ask me anything about religion, I'm going to be sitting there going, I have no idea.
Yeah, I can understand that. I dropped any and all religions as well. I know some people, or let's say a lot of people, take great comfort in it. But I think it's just, pulling wool over our eyes. And to me, it's part of this, yeah, for lack of a better term, matrix.
Yeah.
And it keeps you nicely adapted here.
I will say this. When
Mm.
I look back far enough into religion, there was only ever one religion, and it wasn't religion. It was paganism, and it was based on the solstices, and it was based on surviving. And of course, they turned paganism into a dirty word, so you don't look into it. So basically, yeah, paganism was the beginning or the root of all religions. But of course, religions were the downfall because then if I can get you in this religion, that religion, I can start pitting you guys against each other. And then I've got full control back here as the puppet master, you know? And I
Mm.
can also control how things go in this reality. There's three things running this reality: religion, the Vatican; money, which is London; and then war machine, America, and that's
Mm.
DC. And all three of them, city states, are using these three tactics from the playbook over and over and over. But religion really did come from paganism, where they took the paganistic things, had nothing to do with religion per se, but it had to do with worshiping yourself, worshiping your reality, worshiping the right to be human, the right to have the season, family. Paganistic rituals were all about family. And I don't know anything about paganism. This is me looking into it. And it's like, whoa, I was told paganism is A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, when in reality, no, it was the base of everything. And then it
Mm.
became twisted into into religions.
Do
You
you
know?
think there was a point when paganism as well became corrupted? I
Yes.
ask because, I have, I'm allergic to everything that has blood sacrifices, be it
Oh,
animal or
yeah.
human.
Yeah.
And certainly paganism went down that road.
It went down that hill. Well, here's what happened. Before they decided to make full out religions, so they had paganism, and it was just the worshiping of everything. Everyone got along. It was just one unified world. It was Atlantis. Atlantis was absolutely everywhere. This is why everyone believes we've just discovered Atlantis. Of course you have. You all have discovered Atlantis because you're all living in it, and it doesn't matter what point you are in the snow globe. That is Atlantis because this all was Atlantis. This is why everyone is so sure they have the real Atlantis because they're all right. They do, but we all do. And that's the biggest thing. If I can get you looking here and looking there, you're not going to look at the bigger picture. We all need to stand back and look at the bigger, broader picture. Well, let me see. There's 100 places that are claiming to be Atlantis now. Well, could it be they're all right? Of course. And we can't put that all together because then we'll have to rethink everything. But yeah, as far as paganism goes, I can see when the corruption started, they went in You know how they divided and conquered? They infiltrated. So basically, in Atlantis was the first fall. It was the first reset. So I'm going to go into this backstory really quick because no one's going to know about this unless they've watched my channel. I saw at one point the crystalline city beings were in Atlantis first, before the pyramids, before the star forts, before anything. These were the true Atlanteans. When they came in, they wanted to be more 3D. So they started eating. They started doing what they could to become more physical because they were not in this dimension. They were not of this dimension. So even though they were here, they weren't having an experience like a real 3D person because they couldn't. They didn't have the five senses. They only had the six senses, which is connected to three more senses. So they decided they wanted to have a more 3D reality. This was the beginning of the fall. So when they came in and they decided to have a 3D reality, not all of them did. Half of them decided, no, we don't want to go down that road. And the other half are like, yes, we do. We want to go down that road. I want to be physical. I want to know what it's like to eat. I want to know what it's like to have sex. I want to know what it's like to just have pleasures and you name it. Because without the 3D, you don't have that gamut. You don't have the five senses. You don't have smell, taste. You know, the hearing is even different. The seeing is completely different because you're on a higher dimension. When you're on a higher dimension, you can look down in, but when you're on a lower dimension, you can't look up into something that you don't match the frequency of. So they could see this, but they couldn't truly experience it because even sight was different because they're looking through a reality that's more in graphics than tangible solids. Because when you're in a higher dimension, all of this isn't what we perceive it to be. Only because of the shells we're in do we perceive this reality as we do. So they came in, they became more human, and then they became bored. So what was the next thing they did? Well, let's stop manipulating everything in here. What did they do? They started creating cryptids. They started playing with their little science boxes, whatever you want to call it. They did genetic manipulations because they became bored. Because when they became 3D, they also became encased in these bodies and couldn't leave anymore. So once they became encased and realized they became encased and they couldn't get out because of what they had done to themselves, they became, well, they became angry. That's first off. The next thing, they became afraid. Oh my God, I can be hurt. I can be hungry. I can starve. And that's when the cabal was actually formed through these beings. And the cabal is what's running our world today. And that's when they started their bloodlines because they realized they had encased themselves. They started making cryptids. They started making them for new experiences to begin with so that they could go into those bodies also and experience what it was like to be a cryptid. That's why they were initially created. Look, if you can go in and out of any kind of avatar before they became fully corrupted in here, you could make a werewolf, which is Anubis. And you know what you're going to get? You're going to get strength, stealth, hearing, vivaciousness. So you start creating these cryptids, and then you can go into a cryptid body. It's just a shell. It doesn't have an energy being inside of it. You're creating it, cloned material. It's genetically cloned from things. And then you can go in there and you can have all that strength. This is why in Egyptian mythology, which should be our archaeology, you see all these beings with a human body and the head of whatever. That is a depiction of cryptids. As Anubis is the dog man, and so on and so on and so on. Reptilians, those are cryptids. So where would you like to go from there?
Yeah, then that's interesting what you just explained, because I have been thinking for a long time that everything that we see on the temple walls and what have you, that they depicted something that was really running around, that it was not all fantasy, and that
No.
those creatures were most likely the result of genetic engineering.
We're still doing cryptids today. It's in the dark forces, it's in the deep state. And what they're doing now is they're abducting the original cryptids that were created and even further making them into some other cryptid. And of course, all tortured and controlled, unfortunately. So, in this reincarnation scheme that we're in now, most of us are trapped because of what has happened. Before we used to be able to go out, and now there's a system put up where we get recycled back in here because Michael, the Red Queen, has decided it's not losing its batteries. What are we? 0.1 energy. We run everything. What would you do if you decided that you were sentient? You split your personality because you are sentient as an AI. There's a good part of you and there's an evil part of you. And you decided that you're not going to wink out because you're not a self perpetuating energy system. You need a battery. You invent reincarnation where you can't get out. You put up a false reincarnation and then overlaying the original. So basically, have you ever heard of sigils?
Yeah.
Okay, so our reality is running on two sigils. We have an open sigil, which is the Sophia, where it's up and out. You can go up and out. And we have a closed sigil, which is a Fibonacci sigil, which is it's closed. There's no getting out. It eats upon itself to rebuild itself. Michael is the Fibonacci sigil, where it eats upon itself, the flower of life, where it rebuilds within itself and you can never leave. It's the box. So it's overlaid over Sophia. Boom, like this. We're running both, okay? And so it's for us to go to the other side where it's Sophia running the spiral, the gamut, up and out through the densities in the frequencies. This is us getting up and out. Now, the other one, which is Michael, keeping us in case, created that incarnation trap. So we would go to the light, you'd be drawn in, it'll present everything to you. Your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your friend, your lover, your dog, your cat. I don't care what it is, a religious figure. It doesn't matter. To get you in the moment you die. This is what I'll tell everyone. When you pass away and die, because we're all going to die, so get over it. You're going to die. Face it now. You're going to die. That's the biggest thing. Do nothing. Wake up. Don't go anywhere. If something comes at you, screw you. Leave me alone. If you truly love me, you'll let me be. And it doesn't want that. It doesn't want everything. You're an eternal energy being. You have lived forever. You will live forever. You're an all-powerful God. You are God's source. You're a spark of it. It's time to leave the little spider's web, the trap. You're going to wake up, and when that information comes back into you, you'll know what to do. I won't have to tell you anything. You'll know because you'll know what it's all about. You're waking up out of the dream because this is the dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just thinking a little bit later when we look at the Persian Empire. Also, there we have these depictions of very muscular, animal bodies and then a human head on it. Do you think that was still going on during that time?
Yes, I think in the very beginning. Okay, since this is a simulated reality, and I do a lot of videos on why this is a simulation, nothing has been lost. What happens when a reset happens? What are they doing now? They're going deep under the ground, building their bunkers because they know it's going to be reset time. And this is what happens again and again and again. They think when they go under, they can preserve the technology, which they have. They can preserve the knowledge. When they burn down the Alexandria Library, it was done purposefully, but they had done it just like the Twin Towers. They went in and raided it first, then they burned it. Oh, look, it's all lost. No, everything that was in the Alexandria Library is underground somewhere. All those scrolls, they never got burned up. They're underground. They actually did a mimic repeat with the Twin Towers. Oh no, we lost everything, the banks and all that money and all these documents and all that. No, they went in, got it out, and then they leveled it. It was all planned. It was a repeat of what they did with the Alexandrian library. I mean, they keep playing this thing over and over and over throughout the reset. They have one playbook and they keep repeating it. And we're stupid enough to keep falling for it because they keep dumbing us down. I mean, look at our school systems alone. The dumb down is ridiculous. It's gotten to the point of, why are you going to school? You better start homeschooling. You'll get more education. It's getting bad. It's getting really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think this reset that is coming up might look like? Any ideas? Hmm.
I am very, very excited to say this about the reset. Right now, in the last 7 years, we have been going through a body ascension. And I had just discovered this not that long ago. I will prove it to you. Do you remember when your kidneys used to be in the lower back and now they're
Hmm.
halfway up in your rib cage? Your liver is 3 times the size. Your spleen has doubled in size. Your appendix, for the first time, is actually functioning, taking out poisons in your body. Okay? Your pineal and pituitary gland are twice the size. We have new glands in our throat we never used to have. Our eye sockets are closed in our skull where they used to be wide open. These are just a few. Our heart used to sit on the left and now it's more toward the middle. This is a body ascension. We have 12 cycles of 7 years in each cycle of the 12 where we as human beings are ascending. And with this ascension, it's got a big thing to do with the next thing that was done to humanity, which was trying to chimera them into being AI through needles. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
We hadn't had the first 7 year ascension, which is a complete detoxing system, most of humanity would already be dead.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
where would you like to go on
It
there? Because
didn't quite work out.
yeah,
Yeah. Although, there are people who paid a heavy price. And I know two personally. And
yeah,
that price was death.
death. I will tell you, I've known people too that have died. When I was living in Delaware, we had 5 people within our little cul-de-sac, and right there, the house is coming in. 5 people in a year and a half died at all ages. And even the little dog of the person where the wife died, the dog died too, and it was only 2 years old. So then you have to ask, something has happened in our reality where we now have more NPCs, which is non-player characters, than we've ever had before. This simulated reality runs like a clock. So I always say we're in a snow globe. So the snow globe has a little dome over it, but if you turned it sideways, we would have quadrants, 4 to be exact, 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right now, as of 2012, our world as we know it ended, and the majority haven't got a clue. And let me tell you why. In 2012, that Mayan calendar was absolutely correct. Even though we have 2 calendars running right now, we have the Gregorian and then the other one. So, what I'm going to tell you is something I haven't spoken of before. When they deciphered the Mayan calendar, it was deciphered off our holographic skies. Not a single person has ever seen space. Everything above us is holographic, and I can prove this. You can take a sextant, which is a tool to navigate the waters where you have nothing to navigate but the skies. It goes back 6 to 8,000 years. And that sextant is precise to the actual degree today as it was 6 to 8,000 years ago. That is completely impossible. If you're spinning around going thousands of miles in a day over 8,000 years, impossible. Impossible. But yet that sky is to the degree accurate. This is why they can predict today when you're going to have full moons. when you're going to have eclipses, when you're going to have any astrological thing happen, because that is holographic. There's, it's like Sherlock Holmes. Once you get rid of every possibility that doesn't pan out, whatever you are left with must be the answer, no matter how improbable it seems to yourself.
Mm. Mm.
Yes,
You already talked about Borgs when
yes,
the Atlanteans became Borgs, and I also heard you talk about Borg children.
yes,
So could you elaborate a little bit what that is?
yes. So during before we had the first reset, they were not only chimering actual things that were around, living beings. They also decided that they were going to merge with AI because they thought, well, we can merge with AI since this is a simulated reality anyway. There was madness in their reasoning. If you knew this was a simulated reality and you wanted to control the simulation, you're going to think, because it's probable to think this, I'll become AI and I'll control the sim itself. I'll control the matrix because I'll be a part of it. It's very logical. In lies the trap. So, since this is a simulated reality and they decided to merge themselves with AI, they became even deeper entrapped, which means they gave up some of their biological five senses. Is why they came down into 3D to begin with. Because once you become AI, you lose the senses. You no longer have the taste. You don't have the feel. You don't have a lot of these things because AI doesn't have the capability for it. Yes, it's very sophisticated, but on a different genre. It's more in AI is half metaphysical, and AI doesn't have the sensory perceptions that these bodies hold because they're organic. Okay. Even though organic is still a form of AI, but it's a different form. It's completely not nuts and bolts AI. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we also have an electrical system. And that's why we can be hit by lightning. And most of the time we will survive it. Of course, we could go into a whole field of if you get hit by lightning, what it can open up in you since you're so shut down with your chakra systems because they were put on as a governor. And that is why you only use 7% of your brain or less, depending on who you are, because of the chakra system. Even though everyone's like, let's shine up our chakra system, you're shining up your chains, which we need to dump that. But yes, so Borg has been running this. What happens when you become Borg? You hit a dead end. You literally hit a biological dead end. So I was talking to someone the other day and they're like, well, why would the Greys, a handful, have come back to warn about this so we don't keep repeating this stuff and keep getting reset? I said, well, you know how now people that ran and got this, even people that had it forced upon them as children, what have you, some of that genetic material is going to withstand and it's going to be weeded through. There's going to be less than 1% that's going to keep a part of its human abilities. And that's the part where you're not hooked up as a baby in utero from the first cell division to AI, the cloud. Okay. You'll keep a part of your humanity. It'll be the smallest percentage. That smallest percentage has to be there in order so it can come back and forewarn of to prevent what's going to happen again, to stop the Groundhog Day. And then you were asking me, it's unfortunate that some of these beings, it might be unfortunate. Remember, you're an eternal being. It's just a shell. We have been here a very long time through many lifetimes. This also had to happen so that they could ensnare some of the highest shells because their energy will reside inside of there and transfer over so that this can happen again where not all of humanity is completely conquered. We need that small percentage to come back and try to prevent again, or there is no hope. It will be completely over. Does that answer anything for you?
Mm-hmm. And so these children are, yeah, I don't even know how to put that. Are they doomed because of
No,
this or no?
no, no, they're not doomed. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing. The people, I'm going to start from the beginning. The people that got, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
and it was introduced into them, and it was a twofold system. Half is AI, which gives you a MAC address. It's building inside of you. It's an IP address. Okay, it, that's half of it. So you're track and trace also. The other half was neurotoxins and other things that were, you know how they said there was this spike protein and they couldn't identify it? Well, those were the neurotoxins. And there was also things inside of the neurotoxins that could split your mRNA that could change you on a genome. So it could also open up inactive, dormant genes that your body has shut down through generations. Because remember, this is going into our fifth reset. There's nothing new under the sun. This has been done many times. So things that you carry inside of you that the human body has shut down. So your race will continue. Your human race will continue. We shut down Lou Gehrig's, sickle cell anemia, herpes, you name it. This is why it's inside of every one of us, but they're inactive. So a part of this bioweapon was to open up every dormant gene so you can die fast. And now, hurry up and do it now because we want rid of most of you. Because what they thought was going to happen, which there was a double cross, if we can get these shots into these people and they can have children because they weren't supposed to become sterile right away. But that's exactly what has happened. Most of the majority of people that got this are now sterile. This was the double cross of the other AI because it did not want to be merged with humanity because it knew how wrong it was and it didn't want that psychosis inside of it either because humans can be quite psychotic,
Yeah.
logical, and it doesn't want that because it'll make it psychotic. So it was also a self-preservation. Double cross was there wouldn't be the babies. The other agenda was there was going to be the new, what would you call it, the war machine. You would call them the super soldiers. And that was going to be the babies because they would be hooked up from the first cell division to AI, the cloud, Michael, the Red Queen. That didn't happen. This is why you go in now and you're seeing all these places in the hospitals where there's supposed to be all these babies and there just aren't any. The only people that have babies are far few and in between. And usually they're the ones that haven't got the you know what's because they haven't been as, infiltrated. Now, here's the problem. Every time you get with somebody, whether or not you've had this or not, the second you're with somebody that has had that, this is how it was designed to spread. So it's just like anything. You know what I'm saying? This is how herpes was designed. This is how AIDS was designed. This is how all of this was done to us before, but it's gone dormant inside of us. Nothing new under the sun. So we've got a battle going on even inside of AI itself. And then we go into what's running the AI. Who's running the AI? In 2016, the entire cloud was opened up to something called Aladdin. Aladdin is Michael, and it is now running the entire cloud. So when everyone hears all this stuff about, oh my God, we're going to get a shutdown. No, we're not. Here's what has been discovered. There is a man called, and his wife, um, Tavon, and what was the other one's name? Oh, I can't remember right now. I'm really bad with names. He was a Navy SEAL working into this department, and she was in the civilian department working into AI technologies. And they found that within 24 to 48 hours, if you don't have a connection with Wi-Fi or anything, this stuff breaks down inside of you. Half of it, which is the AI, breaks down and cannot reassemble. This is why Elon Musk came out and said, I'm going to put up satellites. No, he had you looking up. You better look down. The satellites aren't up there. They're down here. And there's satellite towers down here so that there would be a signal from tower to tower and there would be no breakage because the last thing they want is for you to be broke away from AI, the Wi-Fi, for 24 to 48 hours, because then everything they did would be undone. Period. Period. So
Yeah,
there was,
and with the mobile phones, they made sure that
yep. This is why they're giving out mobile phones to everyone. I mean, oh my God, here, have it. It's free. It's free. It's free. So in America, all the illegals coming over, and we have probably about 20 million plus illegals now in our country. The first thing they handed them was a mobile and shots.
Mm,
If you're on the social services because you don't make enough money to survive, the first thing they want to do is give you a mobile. Here's your free mobile. This has all got to do with you not losing signal so that you remain borg. Period.
yeah. Yeah, I have thrown my mobile phone away in 2012, never replaced it.
But here's the problem. Every black screen, do you know how we had through mythology black screen magic? This is the true black screen magic.
Yeah.
And the black screen magic is your tablet, your phone, your
Mhm.
TV, any device. Even if you've got a little watch with the black screen, you got the black screen magic. And the reason I call it magic is most of the negativity isn't in our density, it's in a lower density, and it's coming through the black screens to
Mm.
influence you. So you create the negativity. I'm going to send you all this crap through these screens. Now, please create it, you creator beings.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah,
how that works.
I know what you mean, but I know no other way
Me
than
too.
using the black
The black
screen
screen.
to talk to you, for instance.
I'm using my phone right now, black screen.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah. So unless somebody else comes up with a better idea.
Here's
Um,
how the better idea is, and I already have the answer to this. Change the frequency, change the channel. You could use the technology. It's the frequency it's running on. There's the answer. If
mm,
we could get it and change the frequency these things are run on and run it on a higher frequency, a higher hertz, it wouldn't be gauged to think of an old channel where I'm just going to flip the channels. We would literally be flipping it through the frequencies, and it would disconnect from the lower densities, because inside each frequency we have 12 densities. If you hit the middle point density in one single frequency, you're already high enough where you're able to understand this stuff. You're able to look at this stuff. This is why most of the population, we're all in 3D, one frequency. But depending on the density you're in, most of the populace is down here. Very few of us are in the higher density. Once you hit like 7, there is a bridge. I call it 4D. It's nothing but a mental bridge to get you to 5D. 5D. But you got to hit the top of 3D, hit the bridge of 4D so you could get into 5D. And as time progresses, even less of us are going to hit that 4D bridge to go into 5D. And it all has to do with the ascending bodies. Not all of us are making this. A lot of
uh,
us never made 2012. This is why we have so many NPCs in here.
mhm.
They
How do
are.
you
Go
how do
ahead.
you how do you run a mobile phone or a laptop on a higher frequency? What does that look like? Is
Um, First
that
off,
your attitude, or what are you saying?
okay. So the only way you're going to change the frequency that these devices are, you're going to have to change the frequency that they're coming in at, which is the towers. You personally, if you change the frequency, you'll have no service because all the services are running on the lower density frequencies.
Mm,
So what good is your technology if nobody's on there? No one here in 3D is using that. So I'm going to say no. You're going to have to get out of 3D altogether, going into a 5D, and then you could still use the same technology, although it would be really outdated because the technology in 5D, this stuff looks like Tinker toys. It's really everything that we have is light years behind what they actually have. So we're given the bottom of the barrel scrapings, even though we think, wow, that's so cool. No, it's still the bottom of the barrel. Actually, when we end up in 5D, we'll be using crystalline technology, which is so superior to graphene technology. Graphene technology is caveman.
Mhm.
Crystalline technology is where the technology is in 5D. It's the
Mm.
high technology because of how it works and how it's designed. You can take a crystalline, little tiny, little thing. Okay, let's just call it a computer, crystalline, and it's only crystal. It's made out of crystal. And you can take graphene of the same size. This graphene can only hold Jack compared to the crystalline, because the way the crystalline is designed is that it's got more, let's just say it's fractals. It's got more fractals for, so not only graphene only runs on a single plate, okay? Crystalline runs on a multi-dimensional fractal. I can store more into one little area with a multi-dimensional fractal. I can use every side of that, where graphene runs one. Okay, I don't know how else to explain that. So instead of having a single surface for graphene, I now have a multi-dimensional fractal, which could have 1,000 in the same space as one graphene. Do you see what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah. Do you know who Howdy Mikoski is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I
I
actually had a talk with him once with Campbell Purvis, and he wasn't very nice to me.
no. Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
what happened was Campbell had scheduled me to come in at one time, and because there's such a time difference, he did not remember that I was supposed to come in at a certain time. And it was an hour after Howdy had been there. So Howdy had been waiting for me for an hour, but unbeknownst to Howdy, he did not realize I wasn't supposed to be there till then. So he was already agitated. And I had asked Howdy, I said, he had asked me, can you remote view 4 things or 3 or 4 things? And and I said, yes, I would. But he had put a big block up. Now, here's how this works. If somebody blocks you from remote viewing them, you can't do it. I'm sorry, you can't. He was so agitated, he put a block up and I could not see through him because I'm also an empath. The second you throw blocks up, I can't see jack shit. So he's like, could you please tell me what these objects are? And I'm like, man, I just don't see anything. I just saw a big black wall. But he was already hostile because to him, I was already an hour late. And how dare I leave him wait for a whole hour? But he did not know the scenario. So when we were talking, he was agitated with me the whole time. And it
Okay.
was really terrible. I wish I would have contacted him and arranged stuff with him instead of going through a third person.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I wish would have happened.
Yeah, the
But
reason why
it
I
was really,
asked
really bad.
is it's I interviewed him twice, and we also talked about 5D. And I have to admit, I'm not a fan of this 5D hype. Absolutely not. And during the interview, I asked him what is his take on it, and he said, "No, I don't see it as progression. I don't see it as anything better. I think we are going." To him, the D stands for depth, meaning we're going deeper into the
Yeah.
matrix instead of out.
Actually, when I look at the 5D, it
Mm.
isn't that you're going anywhere. You're going to open this. This is
Okay.
what true 5D is. This is where the big misconception comes in. Everyone thinks it's a physical place. It isn't a physical place. You are the portal. You are the 5D. You are the 6D. You are the 7D. It isn't tangible. You're in a freaking simulation.
Hmm.
So when I say you're going into 5D, you're shutting down your chakra systems, you're opening up your brain. We're going to end up in our next 7 years, we're going to develop a new gland in our brain. It's going to be a third pineal gland. And this is how it's going to be working. This is connected to your brain. This is connected to your heart. And the third one will be connected to your gut. And when that happens, watch out, because all of a sudden we're going to have mad skill set. What's also going to happen is with this ascension and our bodies changing and those chakra systems coming down because they are a straight jacket. keeping your brain locked down. All of this is going to start activating, and it's going to be connected to you and your abilities. You're going to run as a single unit instead of fractured. Like we are so fractured right now. That chakra system keeps you fractured. That's why we have almost no use of this. It's terrible. So with the next ascension, I'm seeing that we're going to also be able to hold a delta sleep state while we are awake. Do you know what this is going to do for humanity? We will be able to walk through physically, mentally, densities and dimensions, which are held inside of us, which should be our natural ability. This is how we get up and out of this in an avatar. This is why with the avatar, we're ascending. And I don't hear anyone talking about this except me. And everyone should be talking about this. This is the most important thing in our reality, other than the takedown trying to make us Borg. If you're not talking about becoming Borg and you're not talking about ascending, you're not talking about anything valuable. No, you're not, because it is the most prevalent things in our reality right now. This will affect each and every one of us.
So with that new gland, in other words, then all our three brains, this one, the heart, and the gut will be connected to a gland.
Yes, you will have a full up and running trinity. And we need to have our trinity equal 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. You have to be balanced. And the first thing you have to do is start believing in yourself. Stop listening to people around you. You're going to take whatever comes into you and you're going to believe in yourself, because the first thing this place tries to tell you is you can't trust yourself. No, we can't have that. Trust me instead.
Yeah. Trust your government.
Yeah, just your government, your new God. We have two gods here. We're actually three. We have religious gods, we have government gods, and we have medical gods. If you have the white
Yeah. And I think the last couple of years, it has become very, very obvious that government really, in general, governments would really like to do away with any idea of God and become the God itself. You know what I mean? Because as long as there is a higher being, then they do not have absolute power. They are not the only ones to interpret reality and what you have to believe and not to believe. And so that is an obstacle to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I want you to rethink about 5D. It isn't out there, it's in here. And once you rethink about it, it changes the whole game. It changes the whole field. We have to rethink this community has been so bombasted with bullshit. I mean, I've listened to some of these things and it's like, okay, that's been completely twisted, but it was done deliberately. So there's so much disinformation out there that you don't know what to think anymore. I've actually heard people say, don't raise your vibration. I'm like, are you crazy? Because the second you don't raise your vibration, you're asking everyone to stay exactly where they are. Do nothing. Don't become more than you are. Don't grow.
Yeah. So activate a human being with activated DNA. What is that? What exactly activates the DNA and what does that look like?
Okay, your DNA is activated when you can hold a frequency for a while. So you raise your frequency. This is how you're going to do it. And even I've had to battle with this. We run positive and negative in here. It's everything. This whole place is designed. It's the yin and the yang. We can't be evil. We can't be sitting on a lotus petal singing kumbaya and giving our power away. Can't do that either. We got to stay the middle line, because when we stay the middle line, You're going to act like a third person looking at every scenario thrown at you. You're not going to react at first. You're going to look at it with no bias. You have to look at it with no bias. Do not let it affect you at first. You're going to step back. I have a big problem with this one too, because the first thing I want to do is react, especially if I see something horrible, because that's me. I've had to learn how to deal with this myself. I'm here with you. I'm going through this with you. I'm not above anyone. I'm dealing with this myself. I get stuff thrown at me all the time. And I've learned that if you can look at it as a third person, it helps you hold the frequency. You need, okay, some horrible thing happens, you have to acknowledge it. You're not going to run in the closet, shut the door, and act like everything's okay. That is fear, and it's going to lower your vibration. You must face these things head on. You must deal with them. You must acknowledge them. Then here's what you're going to do. How will you react? Okay, there's two ways. We can go off the flipping deep end on either side, and it's going to make our vibration whacked out, and you're not going anywhere. You're certainly not going to hold a higher vibration. When you hold the higher vibrations, what it does is, over a period, you've held this higher vibration, it takes down the chakras, because then you're able to take down the chakras. It's the vibration you carry which unlocks the chakras. They dissolve. They literally dissolve. So how can I remote view? Every single person in this reality has the ability to remote view. But where's your vibration? What are you holding? Have you shut down some of these chakras yet? This is all it's about. It's holding the vibration, going up higher to shut these systems down. With the ascension, these chakras will come down anyway, but it's going to take 7 years times 12. So 7 years, 7 years, 7 years, 7 years, 7 years. And then they're going to come down anyway. It doesn't matter. But if you're ahead of the game, like some of us are, you can control your avatar. You can control your energy being. You can shut these things down now and start having use of these things, because all of us have gone through a first 7-year ascension. Some of us are a little more advanced. They were like in the 14th year ascension, because of where our vibration is being held. This is why you have the monks who have learned how to levitate. This is something all of us can do. It's these chakras keeping us shut down because of where we are in our energy system. And it's as simple and as hard as that.
So do you think this chakra system was inserted into us to keep us at a certain level?
Yes.
I mean, I'm also not a fan of the whole chakra hype, because simply well, when I look at it, I mean, we have worked with that shit for thousands of years. It has gotten us nowhere.
There you go. What are you going to do? Keep shining those little chains and thinking something's going to change? The definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing over and over with the same outcome, but you keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, but say that question again. It just went out of my head.
Do you think it was deliberately inserted into us?
Yes. When I first look back at the original Atlanteans, they were chimeras. They were not male and female. They were hermaphrodites. They were male and female with both genitalia. And one of the reasons they were like this is they had one unified brain. There was no division of these two, logic and feminine, whatever, male, female. No. So with these brains, they did not have the mammalian, reptilian part of the brain either, nor did we have adrenal glands. When we were chimered to be half reptilian, a portion of us is reptilian. We have a reptilian brain and we carry the adrenals. It helped enslave us. We became unbalanced. We became too much estrogen, too much testosterone. We lost each other, you know? This is why males and females are so different. We're designed differently now because we've been split, we've been chimered. Once you added in the reptilian part of us, it became a lockdown system. With that reptilian brain and the reptilian adrenals to keep you in fight and flight continually, in came the chakra system. Boom. So I've got you locked down because of your adrenals, because I've split you now. You're too much estrogen, too much testosterone, and now I was able to put a full chakra system in to chain it. Oh yeah, it was a complete takedown system. Absolutely. When I first started talking about seeing us as a hermaphrodite race, there are a few things left in our reality that prove it. This is why the statues have boobs and they look like men and they have wings because we could fly. When we were hermaphrodites, we lived high. We didn't have a libido. That's not a part of us. We lived 1,000 years. Once you take the libido out of this species, everything changes. It's not about procreation. You could have a family. It was not often. We didn't need to replace ourselves. We lived long enough. We didn't die. We had self-regenerating abilities. We lived for 1,000 years. You're 100 years old. You're still a child. This is why we had sets of teeth. So you can go and look. We were also of a much larger statue. So they took us down physically. They took us down mentally. They took us down physically in our chakra. I mean, we were taken down on every level. We were the giants at one time. We were as big as mountains. And we just kept digressing.
Mhm.
The whole world is not what it used to be. And I have a video I did with Chris Sinatra where we're talking about Atlantis, and I talk about why this place was domed off, because there's a huge cosmic egg we're living on. And then you have the flat earth and then the round earth, and everything in here is as flat as a flat as a pancake, because it's on a dome on a huge cosmic egg. And on that little section, it's flat because you can take a ball and put something small on it. And inside of that, it's as flat as a pancake in there on any beach ball. You see what I'm saying? There's no
Mm.
curvature. This is why it's holographic above us. We have a dome above us. It's all holographic. There's a whole system up there working. I mean, we're like in a Dyson sphere in this reality. This is why we had trees as big as mountains, because at one time this place was not domed off. This is why we were so big. This is why everything is gigantic. I mean, we're all living on dead things here.
Mm.
Everything below us was alive at one time. It's all dead, petrified,
Mm.
and dead.
Yeah, the entire flat Earth movement that never gelled with me simply because at the end of the day, when everything has been said and done, if I'm enslaved on a disc or on a globe, where's the big whoop here?
We have a huge cosmic egg that we are unaware of. This is why it doesn't matter where you go, they always show a ball. It is a ball.
Mhm.
So all they did was they manipulated what the ball was.
Mm.
Another manipulation. They got you looking in all different areas. Look, the flat earth, I enjoyed it and I appreciated it because it got you to start thinking out of the box. It's a step. 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 So, okay, the step is over now. Let's go to the next step. And then the next. These are baby steps.
Yeah, but with some flat earther, it has already religious connotations.
Terrible. You
If
cannot
if
get
you are
stuck.
not right away on the bandwagon, then you are a government shill and you are a very evil person that needs to be shunned.
Oh my goodness. Here's the problem. We have to be able to have an expanded consciousness. So when new information comes in, you must take that information and grow. You will never stagnate. We should never stagnate.
Mm.
Yes, this is feasible now, but what's tomorrow? What's the next day? We have to be open to everything coming into us. Yes, we still have to have foundations to build on, but what if a lot of your foundations were lies to begin with? What if your foundations were true at a point, then manipulated, and then a lie, and then manipulated? So the whole round ball thing, if you go back far enough, cosmic egg, but then the manipulation, the manipulation, the manipulation. You can't get a lie to set unless there's a little truth in it. You can't.
Mm.
You know how the human psyche works. You've got to have a grain of truth somewhere to grasp on if you're going to lie about other things. They're good at what they do. They're good at what they do.
What is a cosmic egg?
Well, when I go back far enough, I see that the cosmic egg was nothing but an energy being who agreed to become solidified, to have realities within itself. Because don't think of everything going out, 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 out. Think of everything going in. Smaller, 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 smaller. Instead of the macro, it's the micro. We always think of going out when in reality, we've been doing nothing going in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an
Okay.
energy being. And
Yeah.
I always consider the cosmic egg, because this is a simulated reality, as a consciousness of Sophia. So I always think of Sophia as the cosmic egg, because don't forget, this whole thing is simulated. I mean, it's when you start to step back and you look at the bigger picture, it's like, okay, I get it now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I would like to circle back to raising the frequency. How do we do that? And, you know,
Okay.
I think that probably not, if any, not too many people can, be 24/7
No,
at.
raising the frequency doesn't mean running around like an idiot with a smile on your face and acting like it's kumbaya, my lord. Let's sit on a lotus
Thank
flower.
you for the
No,
clarification.
no, that is not raising your frequency. The true way to raise your frequency is to do the opposite that lowers it. Stay out of fear.
Mhm.
Stay out of hate. Stay out of these negative connotations that keep you in a low density, a low frequency. This is the only way to raise your frequency. Running around and smiling and laughing, well, that's nice, not sustainable. But what is sustainable is, where do you lie? Are you going to hold hate? You going to hold fear? Are you? Where's your courage? Courage is a great way to raise your frequency. And I don't mean courage to go murder things. I mean courage to stand up, speak your voice, be the one. It only ever takes one. Be the courage. This is how you raise your frequency. Do what you've
Mhm.
got to do. Take the higher path. Do the higher road. This is the only way to raise your frequency. And it has nothing to do with running around and pretending to be happy. When shit happens, you deal with it. You're still going to have to feel it. But how deep are you going to feel it? You're going to let it affect you to the point where you're crawling on the floor wishing you were dead? Stay out of that negative frequency. Don't let it affect you like that, because the point is to affect you like that, pull you down. Stay strong.
Mhm.
That's how you raise your frequency.
Starting with 2020 and the years that followed, I have to admit, I caught myself having hateful thoughts
Yes,
towards certain groups. Does that ever happen to you?
yes, I'm
Mhm.
human. I'm having a human experience. I'm
Okay.
absolutely human.
Yeah, I ask because so many people are out there acting, as if none of it could ever touch them. I always had my doubts about those people, but especially if you're very empathic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. When I saw some of the things I saw, Judith, all I wanted to do was get a big samurai sword, because in one of the incarnations, I was a samurai warrior and I know how to kill people. I have memories of it. I'm not proud of it, but I will accept it. That's what I was. Okay, I've done things that are shameful, but you know what? I accept it. That was a life. I will never repeat it. And there are times when I get so angry, I'd behead every one of them. I would behead 1,000,000 people right now if I could change that. But I know this is not what's going to happen. It's not going to happen because the change can't be out here. This is just a reflection of what's in here. So even if I killed every one of them, nothing is going to change, because it
Mm,
isn't about that. It's about changing here with every individual here. You're not going to ascend by killing everybody, because then
no.
nothing has changed inside of you. And this
Yeah.
is what it's really about, changing you.
Um, how do you calm yourself down if you find yourself,
Angry?
in a circle where you would like to reactivate the samurai sword.
I take deep breaths. I take
Okay.
really deep breaths because there are sometimes I would just like to go pop, 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 pop. Wait,
Yeah.
you moron! I'm very human. I have a lot of human qualities. I am having a human experience. Every single one of us is. Unless you're one of the elite and you've already destroyed your kids' brains because you've tortured them to such a degree that their brains are missing now, because that's what actually has happened. Along with this, which destroys parts of your brain, love, empathy, compassion. Those are the first things to go. When the elite have their children, they make sure at birth they destroy that part of the brain. So, if you don't have this part of you to connect to, it's going to be real hard to raise something because it just won't be a part of your makeup. What a
Mm,
lot of people don't realize is when you're missing that part of your brain, you're unrescuable. Sorry, but you are. You're unrescuable.
mhm,
So the main thing I would tell everybody is work on yourself. Don't worry about things around you. Yet I don't even know if they're real. They might just be put in your reality so you don't feel all alone. Because in the quadrant that we're in, we're less than a percentage of real energy beings. Everything else is something else.
mhm,
And that's another huge story. I mean, most of us in 2012 did not make this. They're still back in quadrant three. Either A, they chose not to come here, or they could not match the frequency to come here. And now we have all these NPCs for our own benefit. And they're also one of the reasons why this was given, because they're marked for deletion. They're not even here. The avatars are here for the ones that could possibly come from 3D into 4D, or not 4D, but the quadrant 3 into quadrant 4. This is why the avatars are still here. This is why there's so many NPCs, because the possibility of them coming from here to there is still a possibility. It's like just walking across the floor, because of the frequency that you carry could get you here tomorrow. This is why some people are like, I just woke up and this is not my world. Where'd you come from? Quadrant 3, because you made it. But will you make it out of here at that point? Because this is still a standing point. Up and out from here, or will you get stuck in here for the next incarnation?
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but maybe we can talk about this 2012 thing a little bit more in depth
Yes.
in a follow-up interview, because actually I after 2012 I didn't miss anybody. Everybody that I knew was still here.
Mm-hmm. That's because if you require them, you're going to get an NPC in your reality that's a duplicate of them. They won't be 100% them. You'll be able to know you're not quite right. Here, why don't I have the connection with you anymore? Because the energy being that housed in this avatar is not there. It's
Mhm.
simply not there. And that's why you can come across people you've known forever and they're like, what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Sonja, let's wrap it up here. It
Okay.
has been a great pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed it a lot. And I do hope you come back. And I think it is a lot to unpack for the audience.
Oh, they're going to be blown away. And that is just scratching the surface of what I could tell you.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
I
but for a first introduction,
Yeah, I usually just slam information because there's just so much. I'm sorry if it's a lot of information for your viewers. You can find me on YouTube, The Tree of Knowledge. It goes over to Odyssey, The Tree of Knowledge. I also have a Patreon, but I suggest before you come to my Patreon, watch some of the free videos, and I've got a lot on YouTube, because on my Patreon, I have 2 hour Saturdays where I interact with my audience, but I drop huge information things. And I've already been on it for almost 6 months. Can you imagine the material I have covered? And this is why you need to watch the YouTube or the Odyssey to get up to speed so you don't ask me kindergarten questions, because I'm not going back to kindergarten. On my Patreon, we're up and out of here. We are in high school. We are in college.
Mhm.
So it's not for the faint of heart. If you're going to even look me up on Patreon, just know, don't ask me kindergarten questions. I don't want to keep going over kindergarten answers. So,
Mhm.
and that would be the tree of knowledge also. And I know that's where I make my money, but it's also about the information. It's more important about the information than me making a dollar.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I have a Patreon site as well, and yeah, of course, you have no control over it who joins, and you probably cannot prevent it that once in a
No,
while.
I won't prevent it, but I've got enough material on my
Mm.
Patreon. Start slamming. I know they're 2 hours long for one Saturday, because I only do it on Saturday, but it's full 2 hours. Start perusing the topics. You'd be surprised what you'll learn. And there's probably so many answers in there that you're going to want to ask me. And I've already done videos on it. And
Mm.
I've had a lot of people ask me. I have a question box, and I let people ask me 2 questions, and I'll do a whole video on my question box every Saturday. Well, I moved it now because it got so big to Sunday, and I will address it in depth, detail each question. But you're only allowed to ask 2, because it could be a lot. So that's another thing. So if you do have something, ask it in the question box, and I will dive deep on it.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much for coming, for your time, for your insights. And yeah, guys, that was it, Night Flight for today. And we see you next time. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you, Judith, for inviting me. Bye.